Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Lawrence Hopley.
I'm Dr. Christina Stitcher.
And we have a very special guest today. This is Deb White. She is here to, well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself actually.
Well, I have been on a quest for a lot of years to figure out the secret behind pain. And in that quest, I was trying everything, why not? As somebody said, it might help. I ran across a little thing called essential oils. And so that was something new. It was like, okay, well, I've never done that. Let's give that a go. And so my goal was to chase pain. Mm-hmm. And what I found was a whole lot more. And it was like opening up a toy box for me of, oh my gosh. And that first kit of oils that I got was just really felt like I had a new set of toys. Mm-hmm. And my kids would come visit and I would greet them at the door because I didn't have anybody living at home, so I didn't have anybody to practice on. So I was like, dang, anybody got a stomachache, headache? Anybody feeling down, depressed? Let me rub some oils on you. And they were like, oh, Mom, they were doing something again. And rolled eyes. And it wasn't too long before they'd hit the door and say, hey, Mom, where's that stuff you gave me for heartburn? And I was like, yeah, I got them. I got them. And so it just became this big quest of figuring out for myself and feeling the empowerment to take care of my family and my grandkids. And then there was a little sadness that I didn't have these oils when I was raising the kids, because I was raised in a family that was very traditional medicine, and doctors held this very high esteemed position that they knew everything. But when I was a little girl, my dad died when I was 8, and I saw the bills coming from the doctor afterwards. And my brain then was already figuring out the disconnect. He died. Why are we paying them? Mm-hmm. So it started this whole journey of, wait a minute, there's something in this construct that doesn't quite match. They didn't heal my dad. Mm-hmm. So then I come to learn that you can't really heal anybody. You guys can't heal me when I come to you. Nope. But you make the conditions so that my body, which is the master healer, can actually do what it was meant to do.
Okay, I gotta jump in. Please. Because I look at this of going, there's so many times, like your story parallels so many people's stories, and honestly a lot of chiropractor stories as well, which is really cool, is that we go through an experience that we're seeking something either for ourselves or a family member, and often what happens when we find something that's holistic, that's natural, we go, first of all, how did I not know about this before? Right. And so I have to speak to that as a mom, because there is that kind of like, that mom guilt, but it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't have it for you, and I'm gonna try it now and make up for it, but at the same time, it's like, and then there's also that, like, I'm jealous in a good way of my kids, going, like, you've exposed yourself to stuff that I never even knew about. Yeah. But then, like you said, it opens this toy box of going, I didn't know this was out here. And then you touch on the fact that it's like this traditional medical system that did, and I will use a very strong word, did fail your family, and did still expect payment, and at the same time going, well, that's just the system, that's all there is. And yet we get to now hold that place of going, hold on, there was so much more, why didn't we know about it?
Yeah. And that's what I think the quest that I feel on is to let people know there is an option, so that they don't have to just take what the doctor says. And a lot of times I find people, you guys probably do too, they've tried everything, and then they come to you. And so the problem that started out maybe a lot smaller got huge because they didn't have any other options, and then they come, well, I haven't tried this. And same with my treatment coming to you as a patient. I have tried pretty much everything. And so I come to you with decades of problem that you're gonna unwind for me in 3 years or less. Right?
Of course.
But that's the natural way, and that's what I found in essential oils, that it lets your body have a friendly bioterrain to be able to heal.
Well, and I love where you started with your journey, because not only does it parallel a lot of people's, but I find a lot of people when they're starting out their journey, their number one goal is to get rid of something they don't want. And that's okay, that's admirable, right? But it's so much more powerful for going after something you do want. Right. And it's a slight shift. But some examples that I just like to throw out is like, I don't want to just not be poor. I want to be wealthy. I don't want to just be not sick, because there's this huge gap where you're not really sick, there's nothing wrong with you, but you're also not optimally well.
Nothing wrong with you yet.
Thank you.
Because it's brewing, you just don't
absolutely
have
is.
it on the surface yet.
Right, and that's the air quotes, right? That there's nothing wrong. But I love this this approach where we're trying to attract what we want. We're trying to attract health. We're aiming and looking that direction rather than backing away from stuff that we don't like. And the big fancy word, because as docs we like our fancy words, is salutogenesis. Right?
Would you spell that for me,
I
please,
could.
doctor?
I don't think it will help, but salute is Latin for wellness. Genesis is the beginning of or birth of. So we have pathogenesis, pathology meaning sickness, disease, and where it comes from. So you could study sickness and disease,
Which is the traditional healthcare
which is
system.
traditional
Right,
healthcare.
yeah.
Or
Yep.
It's
you-
not healthcare.
No, oh,
That's the thing.
Traditional
Yeah.
sickness care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is assumed as the conventional approach is exactly pathogenesis. We're looking, and we even have to claim it for ourselves. It's like a lot of our training was, here's the diseases, here's what they look for, and then we also got salutogenesis, where we're ones that are going, now that's where we go. What is health? What is creation of health? What is not only just prevention of disease, but really how do we get to our best function, best life, by focusing on not something I have and I don't want, but something that maybe I don't have, but I really do want, which is full health, full
Well, sometimes
expression.
you don't even know that, because especially our bodies are so miraculous that we can function at such a minimal level for so many decades
Yeah.
that you don't even realize what's going on, because you're young and you just override, right? You just ignore it. I'll sleep when I'm dead. That could be sooner than you think if you never sleep. But it's that idea, and it's brewing. And then it's the funniest thing. My kids are turning 40s, in their 40s now, and they used to just say, "Oh, Mom, just get up and exercise. Just eat better," and that's all it takes. And now they're hitting their 40s, 45, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, it's a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is a thing." And so it's like being able to project forward and saying, I'm going to preempt this by being super healthy. But you don't think about it until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
That's when your health becomes something, oh yeah, maybe I should be doing something different. And it's hard to help people see, hey, let's just start in your 20s being healthy and doing the healthy things. And it's hard because nothing's wrong yet.
Right.
So you don't.
Well,
you
then you're
don't
still
feel it.
invincible.
Right. You totally are.
Us guys, we're invincible.
Well, no, trust me. I was the same. Whatever I did in my 20s, I still feel 20, but my body's 40.
Oh, I know.
And oh my heavens, I feel the difference. But one thing you said I love, there's principles that we have really adopted within our philosophies, and what we've looked at is really just how we think. And one of the principles that was created by a chiropractor is the principle of time. There is no process that does not require time. And I love that you had said that at the beginning of going, this is going to take years, and that's why we're very vocal about that, of saying, hey, this has been decades in the making. You need to give yourself time. You need to give yourself grace. You need to give yourself compassion to allow it to do the healing. Because as soon as you remove the interference, your body has no choice but to heal.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. I choose that word very, very consciously. Your body has no choice but to heal, because your body always wants to heal. And so now we clear the pathway so your body can do the healing, but we have to respect the fact that time is needed. And I think that's where a lot of people can get antsy, instant gratification mindset. And at the same time go, if we really can own that, and that's where crisis can help us own it sometimes. Is there's beauty in crisis, there can be learning in crisis, because it can make us have that switch, but it's also wondering, this isn't going to go away overnight. It didn't happen overnight, so let's give it that time that it needs.
Well, and we usually, when we're working with somebody with essential oils, it's how long have you had this? Let's figure about half of that time to let your body come back to balance. And we're too trained with a pill that puts us to sleep in 15 minutes and something that stops our stomach ache immediately, and So yeah, we're spoiled. This is the microwave society we're in, and it's hard because it's hard to have the patience. I mean, when you told me 3 years, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be 69, are you kidding me? But you showed me yesterday in the exam, I am making improvement. I needed that very much to see the improvement. We do that when we work with people with the essential oils. We have a wellness consult that we provide for free so they can see where they are. Because if you don't know where you are, you can't tell if you've gone anywhere. And then the following up on that to see what's happened. Because it, just like yesterday with you, I'd forgotten. I was having terrible heartburn. Totally forgot about it because it's not there anymore. As soon as something bad goes away, you don't even remember you had it. So it's a good thing you took notes. But it's the same thing with all of us. We don't notice when it got better. So it's great the way you guys function that. We do the same thing with our clients so they can see, oh, this is working. It's the patience is hard.
So when you look at, a question I have for you with the clients, because I know our answer, and I have a feeling it's going to be similar. Who's your ideal client? Because there is, like, I want to say ideal, who's your most successful? Like, what are those qualities and traits that help someone be successful when it comes to natural healing?
One, I think it's important they have an awareness of their own bodies and their emotions and how they work together. Because if they're kind of oblivious still and that sometimes experience a crisis hasn't happened yet, they don't have an awareness. We usually don't treat a headache till it's so bad we can't think, right? That's when the way we've been trained. Or we don't go to the doctor till we've been sick 5 or 6 days, then we go check on it. But with essential oils, it's the opposite. If you wake up and you feel a little off today, you do something about that. My husband was totally off this morning. He's just had some real big stress. And so I'm following him around while he's getting ready this morning, cranky as all get out, rubbing oils on different parts of him, got the diffuser going because we're catching it now and not letting it fester, whatever's going on. So that's a real difference. So I need people that are aware what's happening in here physically and emotionally, and they're gonna have success. Somebody who really would like better health, who's motivated. That's a question we ask. How motivated are you to make a change? In 1 to 10, where are you? Because if they're not, they'd really like to lose weight, or they'd like to have less pain, or their digest, and there's like, yeah, but I really like my chips and salsa every night. If they're not at that place yet, then...
Which we honor that place as well.
Sure. I've been in that place where it's like, I'm not ready yet, and that's okay.
Well, and I think, let's stay there for a second, because I think that's really important to say that's okay. When you're ready, I'm here.
Right.
But it goes back to the very first thing you said is, we don't do the healing.
No.
None of us do the healing. You do your own healing. And so if you're not ready, then the answer is, that's okay. Don't, and I mean this, I'll take it to the next level, don't waste your time, energy, effort,
I have
money.
said that many times.
Don't waste my expertise and my time. Come back when you're ready, because then it's going to be successful.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. It's kind of a break up with people on every now and then, because it's like, this isn't serving you or me, and it's okay. And the same thing, you've got my number. When you're ready, I'm here. So it's a tricky thing to take it on, and there's a switch that has to flip, and I don't know what switch flips the switch. I have no clue, because if we could figure that out, because people can want it.
Yes.
To a point, but they can't get that switch flipped, and then suddenly, I have friends that have been trying to help with their weight management for years. One day, a year and a half ago, bam, her switch flipped, and she's released 50 pounds. Like, awesome. I know, and she feels so great. And so it's like all that, none of it was wasted, because all that was prep time getting her to the ready.
Absolutely.
And then when you're ready, yay.
Well, I think the hardest part of finding that switch is it's so personal and individual.
Yeah.
I've talked with tons of people, tons of patients, and it's always something different. There's a few common themes sometimes, but for me, it was my kids, particularly the birth of my third child. That was the 2x4 to the back of the head is how we like to describe it, because it's like I was in natural health. I was in chiropractic school at the time, actually. So I was like, I knew all this stuff, and I knew it was good, and it was, this was the shiny thing I was chasing. But at the same time, I didn't get it at that level where it became a passion, it became a drive, it became so much more. And it was watching that whole birth process and the few hours afterwards, that changed everything for me, and it was I got it moment, and I share it all the time. I love that story because it's mine.
Yeah.
Right, and I think every patient, every person that's on this quest towards health needs something like that. That's what anchors us, and I'm so glad that we get to work with people who have found it, and not only found it, but they're sharing it. And that's, again, why we're doing this holistic hive thing, is to really bring that to the forefront, because people need to hear this information.
Well, it's so empowering when you can learn there are things I can do and things I can do myself. And that's been my happiest thing, is just helping young moms. I remember standing with crying babies in my arms with earaches in the middle of the night, fevers, and going, are they sick enough to go to the emergency room? I don't know. What if they're really sick and they don't go? And I sat here and didn't go. And you go back and forth times however many children you have, because you go through that because you have no other choice but to go to the emergency room in the middle of the night. Now, when we work with young moms, they can reach for something natural. They can rub some melaleuca. They can put some balance on their feet, and that baby calms down. They can really determine, is this a crisis that we need to go get extra help? I am not anti-doctor. I have had all of my children, I was thinking about that, all of my children and my husband have been saved by Western medicine, literally saved. There's no other way they would still be on the planet. I know we need it when we need it when we need it. My own life has been saved by Western medicine on an emergency situation. So yes, but there's so much we can do before we get that involvement, that good eating right and managing stress and taking care of yourself with wonderful tools like essential oils. I don't know how I lived without them. I can't even go to bed without them. One time my bag went with the wrong car when we were out of town, and I got to the place with nothing. I was like, I don't know how to go to bed. I don't have my routine, my oils. What do I do? So they're just such a part of life. I love that when I see little kids come in to their moms now and say, Mommy, oil me. I don't feel good. My granddaughter stopped by Tuesday, and she'd overdone her privilege at a birthday party, and then they got on a teacup ride. Yeah, and she was just green when she got there, and she said, Grandma, help me. She's already taking off her shoulders on her coveralls because she wants some oil rubbed on her tummy, because she knew that would make her feel better. And I just love that. Even the kids are now becoming empowered in self-care and catch things before they become big problems. I love it.
Well, and I look at that, like one thing you said is, it totally resonates, is the question I get often is, well, what's in your medicine cabinet? Because if you're not doing traditional medicine, then what's in your cabinet? I go, well, actually, my cabinet's much bigger now because of that. And so mine's really simple. I'm like, I have a ton of essential oils, and I have a couple of the emergency, I won't say emergency, of homeopathic kits. Like I've got the true homeopathics, and then I have true emergency stuff, like crisis care, bleeding, cuts.
Right.
I have my EMT stuff, like the blood and guts, I have that. And
that sometimes is where we need
absolutely
traditional medicine. If we're broken, we're bleeding, we crashed our heads open,
And that's why I love that. Like that's one thing we just recorded before we came in as well. And we're talking about crisis care, and the analogy to heroic care is what it was even used to be called. And I'm like, what a great way to go. Of course that's what it is. Like it's trauma, it's crisis, but we can't apply the bandages every day and think it's going to work.
Right.
And yet what we can do is empower. And one thing you said, I think that's so, I love the story of you forget all your oils, but you realize you have a routine. Because what we know is successful people, however we define success, are people who have routines, because daily habits are how we get there. And so when you look at when you can have something that's a daily habit that helps put you in that right mental space, help your body work at its best, remove those interferences, but it helps you now create other habits, momentum comes on.
Yeah, and it's amazing and magical. And when you talk about medicine cabinets, see, that's what's so fun is everybody has their triage and in their bathrooms, usually kitchen. And so they're going to address things like discomfort, whether it's muscle, joint, headache, whatever's going on, they've got their things in there. And then they've got digestive things. That's I didn't know this. 50% of all ER visits are from intestinal problems, stomach, digestion, pain in the tummy area.
And so I got to jump in real quick because as I was doing my EMT rotation, that was a lot of what was coming in. And they said, and the doctor looked at me, he's like, there's absolutely nothing we can do unless it's something that needs surgery.
Right.
These are the most frustrating cases we have because more than, I'd probably say at that point, 80% of them will go home with no answers and no resolution.
And still in pain.
And still in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we have an answer, we have a resolution, we have a way to go. Hold on, there's things that you can do.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you can do long before you ever have to go to the emergency room. You can take care of things, and then you can really know. That's the thing.
Yes.
It's crazy. We have a blend called Balance, and it's very good at grounding somebody. And that's the first thing I put on an injured grandchild, because I can't tell what's really going on with the emotional upset. Their body got hurt. Oh my God, that's all they really have is their body. They have no autonomy because we're all telling them what to do. So they have their little body and it's been injured, big emotional trauma. So we put Balance on their feet first, get them in their arms, then I can get them to calm down so I can see, okay, do we need to get stitches for this or not? Oh no, it's just a little head wound that's, how they bleed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's taking care of that emotional side first. Having that is just, it's a gold mine,
It is,
and being able
yeah.
to teach moms how to use something like that. I had one of my friends, little boy, she threatened, stop rocking on the bar stool, you're gonna hit your head on the counter. Well, you know what happened. So he hits his head on the counter and there's blood everywhere. And but she had learned about oils.
Yeah.
She knew what to do. So she went in, she kind of mopped it up, she put a little helichrysum on it, gave it a second, and she could see. It was a small wound,
Yeah.
and they put a butterfly bandage
Yep.
on it, little on guard for disinfecting, and boom, little boy's off playing in the playground. Take her back a couple of years
Yeah.
before she knew how to be empowered in her home, that would have been immediately washcloth on the head, off to the emergency room. How much would that have cost her? Usually walking in the door is $250
Or more.
to just walk in the door. Then whatever they
Yeah.
do is added on top.
Well, and the stress of it.
Oh, I know. Tying down a little
Yeah,
buddy to
yeah.
stitch his head up?
Mhm,
Are you
yeah.
kidding? That's trauma for his whole life.
Right.
So all that spared just because she knew, put Balance on his feet, check out the bleed, put some oil on it. I think it's just magic. To me, I see what it can do.
Well, and you've taken it a little further than just being a source for oils as well. You have some online stuff that you've been doing.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's so cool.
Well, it doesn't do any good to get your oils and put them in your cabinet and then you still don't know what to do. Then it's no different than going to a health food store and seeing oils. Because I did for years before I actually learned how to use oils. I'd be in the health food store, there'd be oil, and I'd say, good for bladder problems. And I'm like, I have no clue.
Right.
And there was no instructions, and so I never purchased any. So it's the same thing if you don't learn how. And so the big piece of what we do is education, education, education. We have a continuing ed class that tells you all the different areas. So we're going sleep, digestion, respiratory, just pain and discomfort. And we teach you which oils will help and how to use them, because it doesn't do any good not to. So we have an 8-class series we do on that. And we have intro classes that help people learn about this whole world that maybe was hidden to them, and suddenly it's like, really? You can do that? And so we do that, and we just rotate them continually so that people can actually learn. Then we have question and answer times too, because sometimes you've learned all the stuff the class taught you, but you got a situation that, I'm not really sure. So we just try to field questions, and we don't necessarily look at disease to cure anything, but we look at what is the symptom that's happening right now. Okay, if we know this oil will help with that symptom. Ultimately, if we can monitor some of the symptoms, we get the body in a place where it can do its own thing, what it's meant to do.
That is so awesome. That's the approach, right? Is sometimes you do have to deal with this stuff. We've been talking crisis care a ton, but ultimately the goal is to get the body, set the body up so that it can heal and grow healthier as we get older, and not what we unfortunately see in society where we grow sicker.
Which we've accepted as normal,
Yeah.
And it's not
the
normal.
normal aging.
Yeah.
And dang it, I'm fighting normal.
Good.
Well, when we look at it, what we were even saying earlier is like normalize normal, which normal is normal function. Like that exam that you repeated yesterday, like you should be able to pass that exam. That's normal. And so we look at that of going, I'd love to reclaim the words going, actually that may be common,
Yeah.
but that sure isn't normal. And so I'm curious with the class, is that open to everyone or is it open to people that you work with? How is it that people can even find out more, or what's the limitations?
So we have no limitations
Awesome.
whatsoever. I just want people to learn how to do this and that there is a choice. So the classes are open to anybody. We hold them on Zoom because we all learned that Zoom was our friend
Yes, we
last
did.
year. So everyone knows how to raise their hand and mute, and it's so great. It's like we all rose technology-wise,
Yes,
you
we
know,
did.
10 notches in a year. So we have them on Zoom. So that way we have people from all over the country on a call at the same time on a Zoom class, and it works perfectly. It's beautiful. It's really nice. That's probably one of the only nice things out of 2020 was everybody's very comfortable with Zoom now.
Yeah.
Even the senior citizens that we work with, it's like, and I
They
pat them
figured
on
it
the
out.
back. They're
Exactly.
like, I got on, and it's like, good job. So yeah, it's open to everyone, and some of the classes are a little more advanced because they assume that you kind of get the idea of essential oils. So it's great if you come to an intro class first, just so you kind of get an idea of what's the deal with this little bottle of oil, and why do some of them cost more than others, and why aren't they all $5? You know, so
Big
it kind of,
reasons.
yeah, there are big reasons. Frankincense is one of them.
Yeah, yes. Well, and you look at, and actually as you say that, I remember when I was learning about frankincense and myrrh, I'm like, okay, that totally makes sense why these were the gifts to Christ. It's
Oh.
like, okay, like when, that's this joke, it's like liquid gold, and it is, it's
Oh,
worth
yeah.
it. So how do people get in contact with you to get signed up for the class?
Well, they can email me at deb@oils4us.com, and I will send you the schedule. And we also have a Facebook page, Oils for Us, Public Education. So you can just come to that Facebook page, and we have the advertising, the schedule of classes. And we just cover everything from just figuring out what to do first with your oils all the way through to discomfort and how do I handle that. So all the topics, all the things that are in your medicine cabinet anyway, we just give you a natural reach. So when you reach for something, you're reaching for something natural.
I love it. We will definitely share that as well, because I think it's so important. The one thing, like, if I could critique oils, and I'd love to hear your response to this, my critique of oils is that people have treated them in the pharmaceutical model. I have this, I take this. And the answer is, you missed the boat because it's so much more than that. And so I love, and I think that's what the answer is. No, that's why we teach these classes, because it's so much more than waiting for a problem, waiting for crisis. And then the intention behind the oil is not, it's treating my headache.
Right.
It's the whole mindset of we're empowering my body to do its best, and then we're proactive.
And there's just so many ways. When I first learned, I was thinking on the level of cuts, scrapes,
Yep.
coughs. Then I studied further and realized every oil has an emotional component. That to me was my advanced master's study. It was like, wow, because if we can get the emotions and the body to work together, we have amazing healing
Magic.
that can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And they smell good. you just smell good all the time.
I think it's also one that you talk about the emotional level. We're now starting to learn even the energetic and frequency level behind
yeah.
them as well, and go, oh, this is so much deeper. And no wonder that they are titrated down, they're concentrated.
Yeah.
It's like they're really a powerful tool. If you want to call it your medicine cabinet, it's like, I don't know, we need to find a better word than medicine cabinet. It's like my empowering, like, wonder powerhouse place, because it really is one of going, you can unleash potential
Right.
by knowing how to really access into the body and what it needs.
Well, I'm really impressed continually with doTERRA's commitment to the purity. They will not compromise, and that's why they didn't allow public funding at the beginning. They had investors that wanted to help them get the company launched. But when you have somebody else in charge of bottom line, that's when negotiating and compromise happens. And they instead mortgaged their lives to create the company so that they would always have complete control over purity. And there's been times when I've gone to get oils and they didn't have a specific oil because the oil that came in didn't pass the test. And when that happened, I was annoyed. But then I immediately went to, oh, so what they're telling us actually is true. If
They're
it's,
gonna stick. They're gonna stick
Yeah.
behind that.
So sorry, people will go buy other oils of this type because we don't have any right now. But I was very quickly went off annoyed. but it was like, oh my gosh, this is really their commitment to make sure it's pure and potent. Because you could have pure and not potent,
Right.
and potent and not pure. But we didn't even hit on the toxins area of what's happening to our lives. If you can get rid of those toxins, and that's the big thing. If the oils had any pesticides or anything in it, it will be rejected, and another company will take that oil. That's the thing to remember, is where does the rejected oil go? It gets a different label. doTERRA's will be the same today, in 5 years, 10 years, because they have to pass the same tests every time. And I feel very confident in putting those on everything from my newborn grandchildren to my mom when she was 94 and was passing. And we put frankincense on both of them, both sides of coming and going. And it was really beautiful to be able to do that and feel empowered in both those situations. So I'm very, very comfortable with working with doTERRA and accepting the oils that they present us, because their commitment is no toxins. These are pure and they're concentrated, like you said, and that's why they work so quickly. And I want my headache gone now. I don't want it gone in 20 minutes. The microwave society, sorry.
So as we're finishing up, I really want to hear, what's the number one takeaway that you want for our audience?
You can take charge of your health and your family's health. You don't need someone else who's a stranger that doesn't know your family stepping in as the expert, because you are the expert on your body and your children's bodies. And having a way to empower yourself is the best. And you will feel so much the hero in your own story when you've got little hurt people and you know what oils to use, and they look at you like, I'm so glad you're my mom, because you know what to do. And that's an actual quote of a little buddy looking at his mommy who knew what to do. So be empowered and take it on. You don't need them as much as you don't need someone else stepping in as much as you think you do, because you know your family best.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time.
Well,
I learned
thank
something.
you.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So grateful we get to work with you.
Yes,
So
thank you.
absolutely.
Okay. And we will share as much as we can with you as well. Please reach out. So give us the email one more time.
Deb, short for Debbie, Deb at oils4us.com. Or you can go to the Oils for Us public education page on Facebook. And we will look for you and support you in any questions, or we'll have the schedule there. The schedule's there every week so that you can see what class we're teaching this week. So if there's just one that really catches your interest, just come to that one. We'd love to have you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.